Hello and welcome. We're live. I think, let me know if everything looks good. Uh-oh. I know I messed up something. Messed up my audio. I'm already slipping, guys. I took 1 week off and I ruined things. I was like, I feel like I got everything ready, but I didn't. All right. Make sure. All right. Let me know if my audio is good. Let me know if the video looks pleasing to the eye. So it has been a week. Sorry, I've started a little bit later today. Really, last week there was no substantial camera news, and I didn't want to really waste anybody's time as far as that goes. Like, hey, come hear about the camera news about one lens patent or something like that. So I didn't really want to just chat for an hour without saying anything. So I do actually have a question or maybe a request of people. If you are here, you're watching after the fact. Most people do watch after the fact. Maybe drop in the comments and let me know what are some other topics maybe related to camera or adjacent to cameras, maybe tech, that we could discuss when maybe the camera news is slow or we want to have a more in-depth show. And I'm not actually opposed to doing 2 live streams a week or more if there's other topics that people would like to get my take on or would like to chat about. So I definitely would be into doing something like that because, well, recently the camera news has been super slow. That being said, this week there are a few things. We have the DJI um, Air. Is it the Air? No, DJI Mini 4 Pro came out. So that's kind of interesting. There's also a big firmware update that's supposed to be coming to the A1. So, I mean, I kind of believe it when I see it because Sony's been so bad about that. But then the other thing is, and this isn't it, this is the 13. But my wife is going to be getting the 14 or 15 Pro Max. And it annoys me what they've done with the camera. I think it's interesting. It's not annoying because I think it's just overall a bad camera. I think, smartphone cameras have gotten pretty great over the years. It annoys me the way they're accomplishing a few things with, the different focal lengths. People have talked about it, but people haven't given the take that I haven't heard anybody give the take that I'm going to give. So hopefully everybody will think that's interesting. And I just think there's a better solution than the whole weird focal length situation. So yeah, the way this generally works is I'm going to be going over the news, reading some of the latest stuff. I'll refresh some of the major sites. I'll let some of the chat build up if people are listening live. And then I'll kind of break it up into the main topics, which will be, mostly the iPhone. All right, let's go ahead and go see if there's anybody here in the chat who wants to talk. There is nobody in the chat that's talking to me yet. It's okay. That happens. No, I swear. It's fine. I'll only cry a little bit alone at night later. Anyways, all right. So let me go ahead and go over and we'll share my screen here. We're at Canon Rumors. Let's go ahead and do a refresh. See if we get anything going good here. So this is kind of a lot of the stuff that we were dealing with before. I mean, I don't mind going over the patents as like a broad overview, or if it's like a super interesting patent. But as far as to base an entire show, and that's what I did not want to do last week because pretty much all I saw was patent and stuff like that. So to me, it wasn't worth it. But let's see what this is. Canon has published a series of 3 patent applications at this same time dealing with super telephoto zooms. And we have recently covered a similar patent application not so long ago. And that usually precludes me from writing up yet another article on this. Personally, I'm always curious. It usually, he usually doesn't do that. But more than likely because the news is so slow, that's why he's doing it. Get it. Anyways, personally, I'm curious to do multiple submissions at the same time. It takes a lot of time to create a patent application between the author, lawyers, and skull-numbing bureaucracy of the various patent offices you need to deal with. It's usually not something you do without some kind of reason. Yes, it could be defensive, which means that they don't want anyone else creating the item discussed in the patent application, but that's rarely a set of 3 patent applications. Not only that, all the patent combined with a form a complete picture of these lenses. So I happen to think that the series of patent application is noteworthy. All right, so what is the patents? What are they talking about? The patent application discusses the small design of a small, lightweight telephoto zoom lens. In particular, it's focused, no pun intended, on the fourth element group to increase the optical performance while focusing. Okay. The lens design embodies mentioned are RF 200 to 800, a 200 or 5. These are 5.6 to 9, a 200 to 1,000, 5.6 to 11, and a 200 to 800, 5.6 to 8. The patent application discusses the optical element of design of a super telephoto zoom, have a small size and good optical performance, given the focal ranges talked about in the embodiments. I should mention that small size is relative here, but still impressive from 300 to 1,000 millimeter zoom lenses being 100 or 420 millimeters in length. Huh. 420 millimeters. I don't really know how big. I can't visualize it in my head. But I mean, apparently it's a smaller way of making zoom lenses. I think that that's smart. Apple's doing their own thing with zoom lenses. We'll get into that later. I mean, the biggest problem with zoom lenses in general is, obviously you want the quality and the sharpness and everything else. But besides that, if you can get all of that in check and all things created equal, most of the time, if you can have a good build quality yet be smaller and lighter, that's kind of like, that's what we're looking for. If you can have a 70 to 200 that's as sharp as your competition and as good in pretty much every way, are on equal footing, but you're like, half the size and half the weight, then everybody's going to love that. So yeah, interesting, but again, it wasn't going to be like motorized tilt shift lenses. Nothing huge on that. So yeah, we could go ahead and go over this a little bit if you want, but I'll talk about it here in a second. There are 2 versions of the RF35L coming. This is just CR1, so it's, I don't think it's too much. I mean, this makes sense. It could be like the DS version, kind of like what they did before. The 2 versions, the R35 1.2 or F1.4L, whenever is final analysis, is currently the best, most requested lens. So would it be like a DS version, which is the depth desmoothing, depth, whatever it's called? It was essentially what they did with the 85. They had 2 85s, defocus smoothing or something of that nature. Made the bokeh look pretty. Apparently, that was the idea. So there was some firmware announcements that came out. This one, I'll just skip over here to the R5 because I thought this was kind of interesting of how minor this update was. Usually when you're changing a monocle of like this one, all right, if it's here, this is usually bug fixes. But if you're going here to like, this digit, usually there's something a little bit more to it than, I don't know, all of this. It's now possible to erase only voice memos. In addition, now it's possible to add and voice memos to protected images, enhance security when sending captured, add support functionality for software development kit for digital cameras, fix the phenomenon in which the camera operation was rarely effective after touch operations, fix minor bugs. So to me, like there's nothing about this update that should have changed this number. And yeah, I mean it's okay news. I'm glad they're always fixing their cameras. You know, this would be like a super major update for this would be a 2.0 major update for Sony, but for Canon, this is not what I expected. All right, let me go ahead and jump back over here to the chat just to make sure we're not having conversations that I'm not a part of. It's all good. I did start like 9 minutes late, and I scheduled this 15 minutes later than usual, so people may or may not show up. But if you are here, if you're watching after the fact, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hit that like button. Always very much appreciated. All right, so this is kind of interesting. So they have a new patent. So they're looking maybe at a dual fisheye Mark II. So I think the reason I think this is interesting is because recently, Apple announced their Vision Pro, or yeah, what it's the Vision Pro. It's their headset, their VR thing, or their AR thing, even more so. And then you have Meta that just came out with the Quest 3, which is way cheaper, but they're also doing a lot of AR stuff. And I am starting to feel like I kind of want this lens. Not because, I mean, I don't, it's hard to know what AR and VR is going to be right now. But I can foresee that becoming a part of storytelling and something to differentiate yourself from other people or creators or whatever you're doing. I don't know if you're delivering stories, because apparently the Vision Pro, for example, is supposed to have, and with the new iPhones as well, you're going to be able to record what almost looks like a memory, and it doesn't really supposedly come off super great in the actual like demonstration of it. Like they showed you recording a guy recording it, looks like he's playing it back, so it's hard for the apparently from what I've heard, it's hard for you to get the picture and understand what it's actually doing, or get a clear indication of what it's doing from the video that you're watching on your computer. But supposedly when you have it on, it is like, oh my god, I'm here again, which is nuts. So I can see, like, especially for myself who've been traveling back and forth between Vietnam, and kind of getting content on the travel side, I'm very tempted to get this lens, because I have the R5C. It shoots the 8K. It uses this lens. I don't know if I should start at least gathering content that could possibly be used in a VR setting. Um, Especially think of travel. Travel is very experiential. People want to, be in a place and live in a place. And so if I'm the person that can capture it first, I don't know, there might be something to it there. And that might be something to take into account for other people as well. So I'm not sold on the idea of the VR AR stuff yet. But I'm thinking that if I'm going back, hopefully coming up here in, January, February ish. I don't know when I'll go again after that. So it's like, do I need this kind of lens to go ahead and like prepare for a 2 or 3 year thing? I don't know. Wow, that was way longer than I expected to talk about the dual fisheye lens. Forgive me. All right. Let's see. So DJI officially announces that the Mini Pro Drone 4. I didn't see this being a super huge update. It looked cool. I mean, it did things. No, it didn't look bad by any means. I just feel like they've gotten so good at this point, that I don't see a huge notable difference from this than I did like the last version. And I get that they up the resolution like they usually do, and they've upped the frames per second with the resolution. So in a way, this is kind of more like the Air 2S and the Air 3. or not quite like the Air 3, but like more like the Air 2. And they're kind of, but this is the Mini, which is, I get what they're doing. I think it's cool. But to me, it was nothing spectacular. And I personally, I'm happy with the drone I have over there, which is the Air 2S. I'm good with that for now. Of course, I would like to see an Air 3S, but I still don't even know if I would need it. Some of the footage that I get out of the Air 2S, um, I I personally am fairly impressed with it, especially considering the way I'm using it. You're using it as establishing shots or just some cinematics. Uh, it, it's way better than my previous drone, and so I don't see me updating it anytime soon. I don't think it's going to make my videos that much better. I need my storytelling and things like that to get better. So yeah. All right, let's keep it going. All right, let's jump over here to Sony. I just watched our Sony Alpha Rumors. Um, so yeah, this was kind of cool. It says the creator was shot entirely on the FX3. Uh, I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked into this, but I mean, it doesn't shock me. We know what qualities we're getting out of these cameras at this point, especially with the S-Log profile. You can get the FX3. They're probably even doing it ProRes uh, or something of that nature. I mean, they're probably shooting to an external recorder. They could be doing RAW at that point. But I mean, that it's a good sensor. It's good enough. It's 4K. And I know it's funny because it's, especially when you put something on a screen, you would think that you would want like the biggest and best of everything, but it has great dynamic range. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it would have to be shot on something like that, but the fact that a camera of that stature and that size can shoot a movie is pretty impressive. So just again, it kind of shows us, hey, it's not the gear, it's the content. Which hell, I don't know. This movie could suck. Suck. So who knows? maybe it's like terrible, and I just made that statement for nothing. Anyways, I bet it's pretty good. I think it's Denzel Washington's son, I believe. I don't know if people knew that, but yeah, I think this is Denzel Washington's son. He was in quite a few things. I think where I first noticed him was a Black Klansman. I think that was he was good in that. And then I think he was in Nolan's one of Nolan's movies. I can't think of what it's called. The one where they like reverse time or something like that. But yeah, he's a good actor overall. I've enjoyed his stuff. So this, I haven't looked into this, so I don't want to like give too many opinions on it. So here we go. This was something that that Andrea put out there on his YouTube channel, and I'm not going to play it because I don't want to, like just step on his video. But the essential basics of it was that supposedly within December, Sony will release a major Sony A1 firmware update. He didn't have any details, but the idea was that this is going to be an actual feature update. So I guess about time. 2 years too late, in my opinion. Now he was acting like, he thought that maybe they're getting the message or something, and that this is something that they're going to start doing now. But this may be a hot take here, but I'm starting to feel like, and I have the A7S III. I'm shooting it here. He's saying he hopes the A7S III will get some love as well, and I do too. But I almost feel like I wouldn't buy another Alpha camera. Not because I think Sony's great in a lot of what they do. I love their like size. I mean, overall, like of the size of their lenses. I love that they open up the lens mount. I think their sensors are pretty much top quality when it comes to low light and dynamic range. And I mean, they shot a movie on basically the same camera as I got right here. So there's nothing wrong with it. I like S-Log 3. I like all of those things. The problem is that they feel extremely dated um, after a while, and they're not updating them. And it doesn't look like to me that Sony even wants to be in the alpha game. To me, it looks like Sony maybe wants to be in the FX3 game. The FX line, they want to be part of that cinema system, and they look at photography as is very much a second hand at this point. So I personally think unless Sony like really shows that they want to invest in their, photographers or their photography system, then, I personally don't see myself ever buying one again. But I hope the Alpha 1 thing comes out. It's firmware, it updates it, and the A1 owners get what they really have been wanting and to me deserve for paying so much money over that, especially from what we've come to expect from Nikon and Canon and the competitors. So if you want to compete, Sony, then compete. Don't just, release cameras later on that have features that can easily be put into your older cameras that are more expensive. It just doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's my thought process on it. Not saying I would leave Sony, but I think if I ever buy a Sony again, it will probably be an FX one or even a ZV one eventually, because it just, to me, they're just not updating the Alpha line anymore. And I hope I'm wrong. But I feel like their actions to me are saying that they don't want to be a stills camera company. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, or if if you agree with that, or if you think I'm just overblowing things. But yeah. All right, let me go ahead and go over to Nikon. Let's see what happens here. I'm just going to run through it here because I really want to get to our main topic. So this is interesting. This is in the making the Polina. So I'm not aware of this lens. I mean, it's really pretty. I like it. But is Polina, is this supposed to be like, is this like something, I'm not as familiar with Nikon. So is this something that they usually make? Or is this like a particular style of a photographer that I'm not aware of? So yeah, I'm not with award-winning photographers and members, UK planning engineer department. So I mean, it looks really pretty from these pictures, but of course, it's going to be the photographer, not just the lens. But I'm sure it's a great lens. A 1.8. I don't know. I feel like I've seen a lot of other companies doing a lot more. Or so it's 135 1.8. I think I've seen f 1.4 and 135, I believe. So what is the price? I guess would be nice to know. Is it telling us? So it's $2,500. That's kind of expensive, is it not, for a 1.8? I thought. I mean, this is 135. Maybe I'm mixing it up with a 105. But I think Canon has a 1.4. Do they not? And Sigma, I think, has that. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's going to be bad. A 1.8 at 135 is nuts. It's going to be plenty blown out background. But yeah, most of the time, even if you had a 1.2 or 1. Well, now 1.2 would be huge, but a 1.4, you'd probably stop it down to 1.8. Just be sharper. So it's not bad. I'm sure it's good, but yeah, unless there's something I'm not understanding, it doesn't impress me as much as maybe they want it to. Okay. So I'm not seeing anything big from Nikon. Let's go ahead and go over to Fuji rumors, because I'm going to run through these, and then I'm going to get to the main story, because I do have a few things to say about this new iPhone, because it's just something that's not making sense to me. So yeah, this is kind of cool. Aggressive price and terrific specs boost Fujifilm GFX sales. So yeah, that's super cool. I was really impressed. I'm really impressed with what Fujifilm is doing with their cameras in general, and I think they're taking a very smart strategy with these, medium format sensors and the APS-C sensor, and just kind of bypassing the whole bloodbath of full frame. So, anyways, I'm happy to see their success. I hope it continues. Not seeing anything super interesting here. Let me go ahead and go over to mirrorless rumors. All right. So, since that is a thing, that's over. We're done. I want to talk about the iPhone. And I don't know how long it's going to take me because, I don't know if sometimes I can be long winded and sometimes I can say things very like fast and get it over with because it doesn't quite add up to me. So the iPhone Pro Max, the iPhone 15 Pro Max was just announced, just released, and we're starting to get into the hands of like the photographers and the people who kind of know a thing or two about cameras. And overall, I've heard pretty good things about it. And one of the more interesting features that Apple has talked about and has kind of been somewhat controversial is the fact that part of the way they're saying that you get more focal lengths is they're basically just cropping in to a sensor. So they're keeping the same lenses, they're cropping in, and they're saying that's a new focal length. So on the surface, people have been kind of giving them flack about it, but from the reviews, from what I've seen, it kind of does give the distortion, the way that it changes up the dynamics of the face. It does seem like it works to give that different looks. And their software, which a lot of it is software based, seems to be doing its job. My question is, this isn't the new one, but my wife's getting it. Where's my camera? If right here, you're looking at my phone looks grody. It's old. Anyways, you have these three, cameras here. This is the 13 Pro Max. And so actually the newer ones are even like bigger. You have 3 cameras. Now they're saying it's like 7. One's a telephoto and you're cropping in or whatever. It's not really 7. It's still the 3. Why? Why? If you're going to crop into these tiny little sensors, don't have all these lenses. Have a big sensor. Like, what it's stopping? Like, this should be the lens. This whole thing should be one big lens and one big sensor, or heck, even put it right here and have one, well, that could be interchangeable. You know what I'm saying? But like straight up, have one big lens right here. Other phones I think have tried in the past, but if Apple is truly doing like the we crop in thing and we're, changing around doing pixel binning, as we crop in, and that's like a new feature of theirs, then stop. Don't show more cameras. Just get a really big sensor and a really nice lens and then crop, 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 crop. You could crop 7 times into a big sensor and get pretty much the same effects and have like a really nice big low light beast of a camera on a phone. So I just think it became pointless. If you're going to start doing this crop thing, then why have 3 cameras at all? Just have one big camera and it would be so much better. You would have a sensor that would be like almost a full frame, or you could even say micro four thirds, I guess, somewhere around there, but you have one big lens and then you do your crop thing. I don't know what the megapixels would have to be able to crop in on it in that way. But I guess to me, even if you stuck with the 48 or you upped it and you've had that much bigger of a sensor, you're still getting better light. You're still going to be getting a better low light performance. And it just doesn't look silly. Just have one big circle. I don't understand. Like, it just didn't make sense. It's unnecessarily complicated. Like it's like overly engineered. Like, why even do that? Put one awesome sensor and one amazing lens. And then if you're going to do the crop in thing anyways, you're doing it with superior glass and a superior bigger sensor. Like, I don't know why that's not obvious to Apple. I don't know why they haven't been called out on this. If you're going to crop in to these tiny little like what are we waiting for? Doesn't make any sense. It truly, it's it's blowing my mind that they're like, oh, we need 3 cameras that we're going to crop in to make 7. No, just one, and crop in and you're done. Now, has anybody else heard this argument being made? Because I haven't. And so, uh, why? It just really, it hurts my brain that like it seems like the obvious thing to do. And maybe that's like their next selling point. Maybe this was like the iterative step, and that's going to be the 16 or whatever the case is. But I mean, if these things are pretty much cameras at this point anyways, then just put a big sensor in it. Done. Now, I mean, you could still have some of these like depth, like further autofocus and stuff like that. But I mean that you can get away with that, putting that other places. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think that's a huge, amazing, that would be like blowing everybody's mind update. If you had like one, obviously at, at the, when it's using full advantage of the whole sensor, it would be at its widest. And then as it crops in, you could do the same thing you're doing here, but you crop it into, still a bigger sensor. I would think that you could probably crop in 4 or 5 times into a bigger sensor and still come out with like bigger amount of pixels or whatever that you would be able to do. I don't know. I don't see how that's not already thought of. And so maybe Apple's doing it. Maybe there's something that I don't get, but it just seems obvious to me. So maybe drop in the comment section below and let me know, is there something that I'm missing? I know other phones have kind of tried certain stuff like that in the past, but if Apple is taking this leap and they're, usually up there when as far as, features and up there with especially camera specs, if Apple is going down this path of, we're going to crop into the sensor and that's going to be your new focal length, let's just go all for it. Give me one big lens, one big sensor, and let's go. Crop it in. I don't care how many times you want to do it and say it's really different lenses. I want one awesome lens on this thing. And you have a super wide and then really great low light. To me, this makes the most sense. I hope that this is a thing and I'm not just crazy, but if there's some engineering issues that you guys can think of, I think the processor's there. Everything seems to be right there, ready to go. I just don't understand why they're doing this little bogus stuff. It'd be much simpler, much easier. It sounds like they already have a lot of the software figured out. So yeah, drop in the comment section below and let me know, is that something that could work? Does that make sense to you as well? Or am I, just crazy? I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me to do it the other way. All right. Hey. Okay, so no, I have not yet. Okay, so my wife is getting the phone. I have not got the phone. My annoyance isn't with the phone, and I'm not saying that the phone is bad. I'm not saying that the camera is bad. My annoyance is the fact that why are you cropping in to 3 different smaller sensors when you could just have one big sensor and one big lens? That's what I mean by annoying, because it just doesn't make sense in my mind. So that's what I mean by annoying. So no, I haven't had it yet. I haven't compared it to the A7 IV. I would be able to compare it to the A7S III and the Canon, but I don't have the A7 IV. But no, I haven't compared it as such. My wife is getting it. She was supposed to get it last week, and we literally just didn't have the time to go pick it up. We went to the mall multiple times, and it was like, oh, you can pre-order it, but we couldn't buy it at the time. So anyways, she is supposed to be getting it. This is her year to upgrade, and I'll probably wind up upgrading next year. Hopefully next year it'll have just like one big lens and then one big sensor. But anyways, she wants this update, and so I'm going to get it. I don't know if I'll do any like big testing, because I don't know. I think that's maybe retreading some stuff because other people have already done it. The way I'm using the iPhone at this point is when I need it. It's a pickup shot. It's like a little bit in between stuff. I'm traveling. My camera's in my bag and I can't get it out. I don't have my camera on me. We're at dinner at a table and I don't want to just pull out my camera and make everybody feel awkward. Oh, I got my phone. Cool. I got a good little shot. if I mix it in fast and properly enough, if I'm putting it in the edit good enough, then yeah, it's going to do good. And so, yeah, I suspect that it will do that better than this does that. And this does it good. So this is the 13, and she's going to have the 15. So I'm very impressed with the cameras overall in general. I'm just annoyed at the design. Doesn't make sense. I, why? It's like, and maybe this is something that's being worked on, or maybe there's something that I just don't get and I'm not smart enough to get it. There's that possibility. But yeah, I'm ready. Just give me one big lens, one big sensor, and crop in to your heart's desire. That's the one I'm thinking. If you are here and you've watched this video and you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Maybe share this out to more people. Share it with somebody who likes cameras. Or if you like cameras and maybe your friends like cameras and they like to go over the news, I like to bring out discussions. And so if you're here and even if you're watching after the fact, drop in the comment section below and let me know. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight because we did start late and I think I went over the main topics. But I do put out the request. I may even actually like send this out. I want this show to and this channel to turn into more than just cameras. Um, Not because I don't love cameras, but because, well, there's only so much you can talk about when it comes to camera news to me. I mean, I know some people can like, and they do it good and that's their stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I kind of consider this a podcast. Yars tries this. Yar tries this. Am I saying that? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. This is kind of like a podcast at this point. Um, a camera podcast. Obviously, having guests would be great. But I guess that's the thing. I mean, this is solo podcasting. It's not necessarily like long the other, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I would like this to be more of a podcast channel because right now the travel channel is like taking so much of like the creative energy and things like that is being fulfilled in the travel channel. And so this channel is what I love the community. I love to get here and talk about cameras, but sometimes there just really isn't camera news. And so, yeah. Uh, so he said, yeah, nice. How did you get your first 1,000 subs? To be real, I've been stuck at 2,000 for a while. The way I got my first 1,000, uh, just time and grind. And it wasn't just that. It was trying to find topical situations, and I wasn't making live streams. Live streams has got me kind of stuck. To be real, I these don't super grow the channel in any large capacity. I think it would grow the channel if I was clipping these out more, and I need to do it. I say I'm going to do it every week, and I hardly ever do. And so, but I guess at this point right now, I just enjoy coming and hanging out with the community, and I do feel like the people who are actually watching this long form, show, they obviously are like here watching to stay. And I've kind of got to the point where it's like barely growing because for a while I was like straight up losing people because I just changed the entire format of this channel. But this channel was when it was really growing. To answer your question, I got my first 1,000. It was really growing, making the most money when I was, hey, if there's a new story coming out or I hear a new camera coming out, there's new rumor just dropped, and it was like a talking head video that I was able to I use that as my background and I posted. It was like a regular video. It wasn't a live stream. But to me that kept me on such a hamster wheel. And then I felt so like I don't know, so much anxiety when there wasn't camera news to go over. And I did it for like over a year or two. I mean, I was definitely not fast to 1,000. And when I got to 2,000, I'm really happy, and I'm like extremely grateful that people watch me at all. And 2,000 subscribers is nuts. But 2,000 subscribers. When I really think about it and I sit down, I'm like, that's 2,000 people. That blows my mind. But from like a business perspective and a financial perspective, this doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't pay hardly anything. So right now it's just an expensive hobby. Um, and I want to be able to keep adding value. I want to be able to keep doing it. But I think something's going to have to kind of like adjust with this channel. I think this is the format that I like for this channel. It's just I need to know how to tweak it a bit and like, okay, maybe we're talking a little bit about um I don't know if I want to like go political, so I don't know how far I want to go into the news. I would like it to stay somewhat camera related, but I think that this channel, it's called Moving Matt. It was always supposed to be about things that moved me. Originally travel and then, cameras as well. But then, travel shut down. So that became a whole nother channel. But, the idea is what's moving me now? What am I interested in now? And, I want to share what's moving me, and hopefully, people will be interested in it as well. But I don't feel like I'm the owner of this channel solely. I feel like the people who've invested their time and have watched me and dedicated, however long you've spent with me, I'm so grateful, and I don't want to give this up. I want to keep making this work, but I need to make it work financially as well. So I just need to know what I need to do better. Um, Clipping is something I definitely know I need to do better. But if there's no camera news, what else should we talk about? And sometimes, cameras are, with these things, they're not going to be as relevant for as many people for as long as we would like. Um, so yeah, even I mean, not saying that cameras aren't getting better and better, but I do think I have to kind of like broaden my niche. Um, so yeah, let me know, drop in, the comments, let me know different stuff like, hey, this is an idea. I think you should talk about this. I've thought about maybe even breaking down some elements of movies as they relate to like photography and videography, like maybe looking at some of the cinematics of some of the movies that I really like, and just kind of breaking down like some of the elements that I find in it. I mean, there's plenty of people who know a lot more than I do, but I can say like, okay, this is why this shot, you know, is effective, and how you might want to use some of the elements of this shot to, become a better photographer or videographer. Talking about the different, let me try this really quick, and I might clip this out because I'm here and I'm talking about it, and I want to talk about this one thing. This is an older movie. People, I'm a nerd. I got a Star Wars shirt on. Um, so I'm just gonna do it, and we'll see how it works, if it even makes sense. Because I've thought about this for a while, and I've never done it. So I'm gonna go in game. Uh, I'm not gonna watch. We're not gonna like watch it. So we're not gonna watch the actual. Okay, so Yar says John Wick 4, lots of good sunrises, and Star Wars Episode 4 was good sunrise. Of course, yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah. This one shot hits my mind because it has elements, and there's so many shots. Oh gosh, the Joker, um, that yeah, with Joaquin Phoenix. Some of the just oh my, the color palette of that movie, and the time when he's on the stairs doing his dance, and the way they use symmetry, it's just it's nuts. It's incredible. Um, so some of this is breaking it down. I mean, this is obvious. This is like one of the set piece scenes that they had. But I want to just kind of break down what I see out of it, and show kind of why I think it's effective, and maybe how you maybe can use it, or at least use parts of it. Let's see here. So this is going to be from Reddit. Okay. So I don't know. Let me see if I can share the screen over here. Mm. Where's my scenes? Give me a second. I was over here talking about doing all this stuff, and then I lost stuff. Where'd it go? Where did my scenes go? Really? Huh. It's weird. My switcher just, usually I can go to my scenes, and now I can't. Okay. Anyways, let's go for it. I think this does it. All right. So this scene right here, um, I don't know if everybody can see the entire screen, and so this might not 100% play. This is a little bit blurrier of an image, but these are just some of the things that I see. Um, so obviously they're using partially the rule of thirds. You have Captain America here versus obviously Thanos' army. So you're using your rule of thirds. You have him, your subject in the lower third, and then obviously the upper third, and just literally almost this entire screen. You have this. They're also using light contrast. Obviously, the evil Thanos army is over here, and it's dark. And Captain America, which it's using light, and as you can see, the sun is basically the only thing that's coming through and light in Captain America here, and it's basically showing like he's symbolically standing here because he is like the last hope, and the light is dying. Like there's it's very on the nose, but everything about the story is being communicated in this one shot, and as the story plays out, you can that's part of it. But just with this one picture, it's telling a story, and the greatest pictures and movies do that type of thing with their cinematography, is they're telling a story with a still shot. He's the last hope, the light is dying, the clouds are about to overtake the sun, but he's the only thing that's standing there, and the one light's left. So they're using so many different elements here. But the biggest thing is they have their subjects and they're telling a story. They're using the rules of thirds. They use color contrast there. There's probably other things that I'm not even thinking about that they're using. But this was all layered on for good purpose. And so the reason I want to bring stuff like this up is because these type of things, and not this necessarily just this show, but shots like this inspire me to want to do better. And I think that we, as this is one of the top grossing films of all time. It definitely resonated with a lot of people, and it's not just because of this shot, but it's a series of shots like this, and cinematography, which, I mean, I get a lot of this is digital, but and this isn't the only shot, but this is something that does, I think, speak to me. And I guess my thought process is this useful content for people? Is this interesting content to break things down? Because what I would like to be able to do is maybe have segments like this where maybe I'll pick a movie every week and have a couple stills from it or whatever the case is. And if we're doing, we're already doing our stuff, and a segment of the show is, dissecting certain shots. Blade Runner 2049, the cinematography is amazing in that. Dune is nuts. Anything Villeneuve he's incredible. So yeah, I don't know. Is this useful to you? Is it at least interesting? Do you see something that, like, okay, because I'd like to be able to dissect it, and not just for like my own purposes, but also to dissect it to let people see kind of what are the biggest filmmakers in the world doing, what techniques are they using in order to maybe make ourselves better photographers and videographers um, along the way. So anyways, was that helpful? Is that something cool? Would y'all like to be able to do stuff like that when the news is slow, or at least just maybe in addition? Let me know if that was something that, because I mean, a lot of people will be watching after the fact. So I know that. So just kind of let me know. I'm I'm trying to go to my scenes. My scenes are not showing up. My stuff's messing up here. It's falling apart. Oh well. Okay. Well, I don't know what happened to my screens, but let me know. I know this is kind of a weird ending to the show. I was trying to go back to my main screen so that we could like talk, but I don't know why things are changing. Huh. I don't know why I cannot see. My overlays messed up. Usually I have my scenes here and I can switch between them, but I am not finding that feature right now. So something's messing up here. But yeah, drop in the comment section below and let me know, is this something that you would like to see done in the future? Is it something that interests you? And if it's not, just let me know. I'm just trying to experiment. Like I said, just give me some ideas because I want this channel to be more than what it's been, and I want to do better for the people who've stuck with me here. But that's all that I got for now. Until next time, peace.